Alright, so right now you should see the euro dollar weekly chart. This is the candle where we have the ECB intervention, and what I mentioned, this is the candle where we have the ECB intervention, then it rolled over, made a new low before moving back higher and finding that bottom. So the question people have now is, will this scenario be repeated? Well, let me walk you through some previous intervention scenarios, and then we'll talk about whether this is the case. So I just showed you the ECB intervention and how this was basically the most recent coordinated intervention that we've had in the euro dollar since the one that we had last week, obviously. And they came in because at the time the euro dollar had hit a record low, and it was like a year, shortly after it was launched. And you can see on that day of intervention, the euro appreciated about 3%. But then, like I said earlier, it made a new record low before it actually rose again. Now, in terms of the coordinated intervention, that was semi-successful. The ECB had to come in again one other time by themselves before the euro dollar finally bottomed. So let's take a look at another example, but there's only been basically 3 official cases of coordinated intervention in the past 30 years in the Japanese yen, and that's counting what we just had. That's obviously not counting what we just had. So prior to the intervention last week, the intervention before that was in June 1998. So let's take a look at how dollar yen performed in June 1998. So let me change my chart. This is the yen, and I'm going to have to go to a monthly chart for now. Let's see actually if I can get a weekly chart going here, and then zoom in. Okay, wonderful. 1998 was the last time we had BOJ intervention. Okay, please, alright, let me refresh the chart. Okay, so right now you should see June 1998. Okay, let me hover my mouse over to June 1998. Alright, this is June 1998. So in June 1998, dollar yen at the time was rising. It was rising very, very quickly. And so it was rising so quickly that it hit a record high, shortly thereafter. So dollar yen was rising pretty much from 125 all the way up until about 140 before the Bank of Japan came into the market. So at the time, dollar yen was coming in was rising very, very quickly. So the Bank of Japan elicited the support of the Federal Reserve to come into the market. So they came into the market on June 17, 1998, which is basically, this is a weekly chart, but you can see is this huge, huge candle here. So what happened? Well, you can see with this huge candle here, dollar yen consolidated for the next couple of weeks, made a new record high before collapsing. So, this is basically a repeat. It's the same thing that happened in the euro dollar, where it consolidated a bit, and the euro dollar made a new record low before finally finding a bottom. In dollar yen, it made a new record high before finally finding a top. And let me just show you one more case before that, which was in between July and August of 1995. Okay, so basically it's this period here. So please let me know if you see, let me just refresh this chart anyway. Okay, so this was the BOJ intervention in 1995. And that's actually the best example, I think, to the current one, because that was when dollar yen was falling. And dollar yen was basically fell to a record low. I'll get to your questions later. And I am not reading a script. This is just coming out of my mouth. And so dollar yen basically fell to a record low. This is the prior record low in dollar yen. It had done that in April 1995. So obviously, like now, the BOJ was very, very concerned, and they were very, very agitated by the strength of the Japanese yen. So they decided that they were going to elicit the support of the Federal Reserve. So this was coordinated intervention with just the Federal Reserve, not the other central banks. And they came in on, they started to come in on July 7, 1995, which was basically this candle here. And they came in twice, which was once on July 7, 1995, and once on August 2nd, 1995. So let's look for August 2nd. So this is pretty much what the August 2nd period. So in this case, intervention did work because basically they came in first around this period here. It consolidated, they came in again, and dollar yen basically started to bottom out and had a parabolic rally. So intervention, did work at that time. Let's see what it says. Writes her new script with some drama in it, like a TV reality show. Well, maybe I should be on a TV reality show, but I actually was on Wall Street Warriors. Anyway, going back to this. So the first case of intervention in the euro dollar, it did eventually work, but it took some time. The second case of intervention where dollar yen rose to a record high, it did eventually work, but it also took some time. In 1995, it did work, and it worked relatively immediately.